Good morning guys and girls, and welcome back to another video. And today is how do I gear up as soon as I've hit 120. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. Okay, so we are on a fresh 120, and what you're going to be wanting to do to actually gear up as fast as possible is run normal dungeons. Now personally, this is the first stage of a couple of different ways you can gear up, obviously, but we're going to go with the PvP, well, the PvE area first, as it is predominantly on my realm, and I see a lot more people doing PvE than PvP, so I will go with that one. Hold out for me for the PvP. So the normal dungeons actually scale from, they drop items of 310 gear, and that is great because when you hit like 120 you're around about 280 item level, so being able to go straight up to 310 using normal dungeons is actually relatively really handy. As well as that, you can go into heroic dungeons at item level 305, and that will give you items of 325 gear, which is insanely more helpful once you have hit 305, obviously. So I would personally state when you do normal dungeons to go to 305 and then start doing heroics immediately as you hit 305. Now that will bring you up to 325, and you have a couple of different ways of actually gearing up from there on. You are also able to do mythic dungeons, but I don't see that. Now, obviously, I'm not a big fan on mythic dungeons, but they do drop up to 340 gear. If you can do mythic dungeons, then go for it. Be my guest. I'm not interested in mythic dungeons, and I usually just PvP. The second way of gearing up in BFA is actually doing your world quests. And obviously you can pick up your inscription, an inscriptor's like contract, which will give you rep with the faction you buy the contract for while you're doing world quests, and that will help you in the long run of actually buying that reputation person's gear, which actually rewards you with some 340 gear. Now obviously you get some actual real decent gear as you go up through Revered and Exalted, Exalted being the highest priority one. The Champions of Azeroth actually give you at Exalted a 355 gear helm, which I highly recommend that you just get the contract for that and just keep doing your world quests. Now obviously world quests drop items from 290 to 340, so if you want to do that repetitiveness, I'm not a big fan, obviously, of world quests. I get bored rather easily, even though I like farming. And basically, that will bring you up to 340 with your characters, if you're lucky with your emissary quests. Well, emissary caches on when you've completed, like, your... You know what I'm talking about. Once you've actually completed the ones for the different types of factions. Another way of actually obtaining 340 gear is by doing the world bosses, and pretty much those ones are just going to be murked like all the time. So in order to do that, all you have to do is wait for a world boss to be up. This isn't the fastest method of actually gearing up, but I thought I'd throw it in there just as for a bit of fun. Now onto PvP. PvP I always do, I just random queue battlegrounds and I get PvP gear, which like scales, gives me like a boost every time we win, or sometimes when we lose we get like a cachet, and it either rewards you with gold or it got marks of honor and or gear. Now I do this pretty much all the time. I will usually do normal dungeons and heroic dungeons until I'm around about 325 for my character. That is the plan for me. And as soon as I hit 325, I will then move into random battlegrounds, mainly because that will boost me up to 340, and I love PvP. So really, it is more or less a preference on how fast you want to actually gear up, depending on what you like. If you're PvE, take the entire normal to heroic to mythic, it's kind of repetitive because you're pretty much doing all the dungeons. They just get harder in difficulty as you go up. I would personally recommend that you do world quests in your downtime, so do some world quests while you're waiting for those queues so you can actually gain some actual boosts and pretty much being able to actually farm up the world bosses at the same time as doing your world quests. This with the queue in place for your dungeons or PvP, whatever one you choose. I will be picking PvP, and that will gear you up a lot faster because you'll be doing 3 things at once, and as soon as the queue pops, you just go into there, and then as soon as it's finished, you may or may not get a piece of gear from PvP, but you know that if you are doing a world quest and it's a world quest that really gives you a piece of loot, then you know that you're going to get that piece of loot. Now obviously I find that doing the PvP route with my characters, I find that it is a lot faster for me because I just spam random battlegrounds. Obviously dungeons are usually just cleared really fast, but I prefer not to bore myself with that. I actually have to think in PvP. Obviously I don't mean it in the sense of now obviously PvE is actually great and all, but I have moved from PvE from a while back, as of a few years ago, and now I'm a PvP player and I rather enjoy it. So that being the case, guys, that is my little guide for actually gearing up in BFA at the beginning before the Uldair raid actually comes out. Now I hope you like this video, and if you want to see more like this, please feel free to give this video a like, and as always, have an awesome day, guys.
Yeah.